next chapter is the most important chapter in entire parasitology, Plasmodium. How many species are there? 4 species for a student who is writing a 10th exam, but you are writing entrance, PG entrance. So, there are 5 species, and Plasmodium vivax, falciparum, malariae, oval, and the last is Plasmodium knowlesi. And all these are, of course, knowlesi is not found in India yet, but it is endemic in other places. So, you have to remember something about knowlesi also. So, without wasting much time, let us now directly go to the life cycle. Malaria life cycle is again very important for exam. Definitive host, intermediate host. Which is man? Intermediate host is man. Definitive host, which mosquito? Female Anopheles mosquito. And they say that if the mode of transmission is mosquito bite, then the infective form is sporozoite, but mode of transmission can also blood transfusion and vertical transmission from mother to fetus. In these two cases, the infective form will be merozoites. Directly merozoites can be the infective form. Okay. And in such case, if in blood transfusion, what are the differences? Merozoites, so transfusion associated malaria, how it is different than the mosquito borne malaria? If it is transfusion associated malaria, then of course, as I told you, merozoites are the infective form, and directly the merozoites will be entering to the blood. So, there is no liver cycle. If there is no liver cycle, there is no hypnozoites. Hypnozoites are the dormant stage in liver. If there is no hypnozoite, then there is no relapse. If there is no relapse, there is no need to give the drug of choice of relapse, that is primaquine. All these are the differences between a transfusion associated malaria and a mosquito borne malaria. Okay. So, with this now let us start what happens in a normal case when the female Anopheles mosquito bites. What happens? When the female Anopheles mosquito bites, they say that the sporozoites are the infective form, they are released to the skin. From the skin they will enter to the blood, and in 30 minutes from blood they enter into the liver. In liver, 90% of the sporozoites they transform into trophozoite. The liver cycle is called as hepatic cycle or pre-erythrocytic or exoerythrocytic cycle. Both all are same, pre-erythrocytic, exoerythrocytic, hepatic cycle. And in liver, the 90% of the sporozoites they form trophozoites. Trophozoites are the feeding stage of the parasite. They will multiply. They multiply and they will grow in number. After some time they divide, and they divide by pre-erythrocytic zygogony. They undergo pre-erythrocytic zygogony to produce a pre-erythrocytic zygont. Pre-erythrocytic zygont. Pre-erythrocytic zygont undergo zygogony to release the pre-erythrocytic merozoites. To release the pre-erythrocytic merozoites. Pre-erythrocytic merozoites are the infective form to RBC. They infect RBC. So, this happens to how many cases? How much of sporozoites? 90%. The remaining 10% of sporozoites, they are as lazy as you, they will become hypnozoid inside the liver. Hypnozoids are the dormant stage of the parasite, which do not cause any infection, but 2 to 3 years later they will produce relapse of malaria. And can you tell me how relapse is different than recrudescence? Please remember, this hypnozoid is a stage is seen only in V for vivax and oval. Only vivax and oval 10% will become hypnozoid. Falciparum all will become trophozoid. There is no hypnozoid in falciparum. In contrast, recrudescence is a phenomena which is seen in falciparum and malariae. Falciparum and malariae, these two you can get recrudescence, and recrudescence is due to drug resistance. Relapse is due to hypnozoids. Recrudescence is due to drug resistance. They say that recrudescence occurs 2 to 3 weeks of treatment. Relapse occurs 2 to 3 years of primary attack, and 2 to 3 weeks after treatment, the drug resistance Plasmodium falciparum, if they are resistant Plasmodium falciparum, 2 to 3 weeks of treatment later, they can cause a second episode of malaria, and this is called as recrudescence of malaria. This is seen in which species? Falciparum and malariae, whereas relapse is seen in V for vivax and oval. So, now come back to the life cycle, because we have discussed only half. Let us discuss the other part of the life cycle, RBC cycle. So, which is the infective form to RBC? Pre-erythrocytic merozoites. So, inside RBC, they say that the pre-erythrocytic merozoites inside RBC, they will grow to form trophozoites. Trophozoites, first they will form early trophozoites, that is ring form. Early trophozoites are nothing but they are the ring form. Early trophozoid later on will become late trophozoid. Late trophozoid will multiply to form zygont. Zygont undergoes zygogony. Zygogony releases the erythrocytic merozoites. Erythrocytic merozoites, once they are released, how they are released? By the bursting of the RBC. They say that RBC, the zygont, when they are released, they will burst the RBC. RBC will be lysed, so that erythrocytic merozoites will be released out. So, when they are released out, along with that, the hemoglobin digested byproducts also will be released, which are called as hemojoin. You know that inside RBC hemoglobin will be there, and hemoglobin is the nutrition for the parasite. Malaria parasite feed on hemoglobin and degrade hemoglobin to produce certain byproducts called as hemojoin pigment. And along with the merozoites, the hemojoin byproducts are released, and they are the lethal byproduct which is responsible for various clinical manifestations like fever, chill, rigor. All these clinical manifestations are due to the release of hemojoin pigments. And please remember, after the merozoites are released, these merozoites will again attack the RBC to repeat the cycle. Once the merozoites is released out, RBC cycle is over. So, they will again attack fresh RBC. They will again attack fresh RBC to repeat the cycle. Or if they are, or they will become bored of the person, they will transform into gametocyte. Gametocyte is the infective form to mosquito. Gametocyte is the infective form to female Anopheles mosquito. So please remember, in this context, the RBC cycle duration is very important for the manifestation to take place. Yes or no? At the end of the RBC cycle, the hemojoin pigments are released, hence the manifestations they appear. So the duration of RBC cycle is important for the periodicity of the manifestation. For example, Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum and Plasmodium ovale, all these three, the periodicity is 24 hours, I am sorry 48 hours. The RBC cycle lasts for 48 hours. That is why they produce tertian malaria, that is fever occur every third day. Every third day the fever appears. For Plasmodium malariae, the fever occurs every 72 hours, that is every fourth day, which is called as quartan malaria. Plasmodium knowlesi, the periodicity is 24 hours, hence fever occurs every day, every alternate day, which is called as quotidian malaria. Quotidian malaria. Okay. So this is how the manifestations occur. So whatever I have discussed, this is about the life cycle of malaria parasite, and they say that the clinical manifestation